Welcome. I am Jonnita Stanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Kashka Williams. We are TSARE, and this is the There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate. Let's jump into it. They be just trying to give me a hard time, like all the time. Like, geez, hard time day.
Oh, well, it ain't that hard time.
Hard time day.
Look, so we was talking about the catfishing photos where like the house look one way, so you get there. I was saying, so like the fireplace, you'll see a photo in the fireplace and the buyers get there like, this an artificial fireplace. Why is it a fire in there on the photo? So a lot of times what people don't know is when we hire photographers to come out, sometimes the photographers will just send the photos with all their edits, and it's up to us to decide and upload them. But if you got an assistant, they just like, oh, this house looks gorgeous, and just upload everything. So it's some due diligence. But to the buyers, I don't know, y'all tell me, what have you seen with...
Catfish. I mean, buyers be mad as hell. I literally have looked at a house, and like I'm really good at looking at the photos. So sometimes before my clients go out on appointments, I say, hold on, let's go through these photos. So like I did it this morning. The lady wants to see condo. It seems like it's a nice condo. It didn't have a super heavy filter on it. However, I was just like, I understand that this house is going to probably need a fresh coat of paint. You may want to change the flooring. You might have to either shampoo the carpet or get all new carpet, because buyers overlook that kind of thing when they're looking at the photos just because they can't see it. They just kind of flip in and they're looking at the room sizes. Right. And the photo has a filter over it. They get to a house and they're like, oh, shoot, I didn't even know it needed this much work.
Right.
Like,
yeah. So from a listing agent standpoint, I don't like that. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a waste of time on everybody's behalf. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to, I don't want the photo that's not giving a true depiction of the house, because when the person gets there, typically they're disappointed. And, you wasted all y'all time. You know what I mean? Right. You could have gave a true photo of the house, maybe a little bit of touch up. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of, just a little bit of touch up, so that people understand what it is they're going. They got reasonable expectations when they get there. Mm-hmm. Those photos we talking about, almost like the women that that look one way and then they put on all the makeup and then you see them and they got all the makeup on. You're like, damn. And they take them. You see them the next morning with the makeup off, and you're like, what?
So I'm glad you said that, because I told my wife, I said, man, if I was single right now, I'm going swimming on the first day. Like, we going swimming.
Right.
So yeah, that's so with the photos. So I tell everybody, you want quality photos, but you don't have to do makeup and editing and all the Photoshop on the photos.
I've seen a whole hole in the ceiling edited. I mean, like a ceiling caving in. Right. Edited like it was there. If you look real close, you could see it. But I'm like, what in the world? This it was a distressed property.
Right.
And because of the editing, it looked like this was a habitable property.
Right.
So, like Kashka said, it's a waste of time. But I think there's also a value in that too, right? Because if you're fooling people on the photos, the house is staying on the market longer. People are disappointed. Yep. So they're either not putting in offers on your house, or if they are putting in offers, they may be lowballing potentially. Right. So there's a value add to me to showing true and accurate photos.
Yeah, I think too, now there is one strategy that I've used before where, like you said, that home has the ceiling messed up. So you'll take a property, because I'm not real creative. I don't have that vision to go in and design and decorate. So if somebody showed me a house the way it looks now, and then they have some some potential what the home could be photos, and you say, this is what it looks like, this is what it could be, I would love that as a buyer.
I've
because
seen that.
Now I would get those photos. But with sellers, I think from the seller side, a lot of sellers will go on like, oh, I seen my house online, I don't like how the photos look, or can they touch this up? And I'm like, no, we don't want to touch it up, because now you're going to set the expectation here, and the buyer's going to get here and be disappointed. But we show what it really is, and those people still come look at it, that's your buyer.
There it is.
There it is. But I'm going to tell you the photos I hate, right? I hate when agents take photos. I have agents. I'm not really against camera phone photos if you do it right, but I hate when the photo don't show the whole room or they got just like you're in the room and it only show like the corner. If you're a seller and your agent does that, you probably want to reconsider that or have them take better photos. I had an agent show a photo on a property, and it's out their window from their car, and you can see the side mirror in the photo, and you can see like an angle of the house. The way it was angled, you can't tell which house was listed, right? So I'm like, what sense do that make? Like, who would trust you to list their property, and they just got a photo at an angle showing two properties and they side mirror?
They was paying 1%. That's what they get. Get what you pay for. No.
$3.95
Well, that could
flat
be it.
fee.
The agent probably couldn't afford the. But I mean, at least put the effort in and get out your car, stand at the curb, and take a good square shot photo of the actual property.
So understand, you get what you pay for.
Right.
Right. So if you want professional photos,
Right.
you want your house represented the right way, you got to pay at least full commission.
Well, yeah, but the agent should negotiate that or include that in their package when they say what they're going to do. Because here's the thing, from an agent standpoint, I have to pay this photographer whether your house sells or not. You can call me tomorrow and be like, oh, I changed my mind. I'm out of a couple $100 already, not including if I did a drone footage, if I did the nighttime
stuff,
photos, the
Like-
virtual tour,
Floor plan.
and the video for your home. So, yeah, but photos are important, but we don't want no catfish photos.
Yeah, please. Okay, so we were talking about the appraisal shortages.
Right?
Are we seeing more shortages than normal
Well,
lately?
let's clarify shortage. We're not talking about there's a shortage of appraisals.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about values. Coming
values
in
not,
undervalued.
coming in not at the sales price.
And reason why. Because, so yes, I'm going to say yes, we are, right? Sometimes it's fair, right? Meaning that the realtor listed it too high. They pushed it already.
Right.
And sometimes it's not fair, like what happened to us on
Man.
Evergreen. That was not fair. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's...
Was it not fair because it happened to y'all, or it wasn't
No.
fair
We
We
because?
had proof.
Yeah, it's,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not fair because, it's not fair. It's not like we
Right.
pushed it. We were
Right.
right where we should have been at. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And at the right time, actually.
Was it because y'all was black?
No.
Because
I'll
that's
tell you
actually happened.
Actually, I don't even
Right.
want to say why it was, but it's because he was mad because he didn't do his job the first time when he was there.
Oh, okay.
And so he wanted me to go do something, but it was, I think it was,
I wish he would just call me.
I forgot when it was. You wouldn't have been able to do it either. She couldn't have done it.
Who, the
So,
appraiser wanted you to do something?
I
Yeah.
thought he wanted you to go take some pictures or something.
yeah, he wanted me to take, you wasn't going to be able to take the photos that he needed to take. That's why he didn't take them.
Gotcha.
Wait, the appraiser wanted you to take photos.
Yeah, so look, it was,
Was it like a cross? Was it like a
it
cross
was a
space?
basement. It was a basement.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
basement, and it looked like there was a leak on the hot water heater when there wasn't.
Right.
They had just
the valve.
yeah, they just opened the valve up, and then it looked like it was mold on the walls, but it wasn't. You know,
Just
what I mean?
like the discoloration or condensation.
Efflorescent.
Yeah.
Efflorescence is what it's
Fluorescent.
called.
That's why I didn't say it. That's why I said the
Right.
mold, but there wasn't.
Right.
Neither one of these were true. But
Right.
he didn't turn the light on to go in there because he couldn't find a light in there.
Oh,
So
okay.
he took the picture in the dark.
Right.
With a
And
flash.
so, yeah. So he wanted me to go back and take the photo for him.
Right. You should have did it. Why you didn't do
It's
it?
over.
Well, I didn't do it because those things. So I need to make sure that there wasn't a leak on the hot
Right.
water heater because it was water there.
Right.
And I think that came from the inspector. Their private inspection. Private inspector did that. And then that efflorescence on the wall, I know that's nothing, but it's
Right.
like we need to clean it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And paint the walls. There's nothing to do, right?
Right.
But he wanted that photo that day.
Oh,
And
the same day?
And
Yeah.
I didn't have the time to do it. We would have sent the same photo that he had, and that's not what he was looking for.
Right. So I had that happen. Well, I had it happen a couple of times. So I had a flip. Actually, it was recently. Somebody broke in, stole the hot water tank. the contractor was like, yeah, I'll be over there such and such morning, Thursday morning, I'll have it in for you. The appraisal was Friday. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go ahead and let them come out. How long does it take to put in a hot water tank? I get there. I always walk the property before the appraiser gets there, right? So I walk in. The back window was still busted, the pane, so it was still glass on the floor. I'm like, shit. So we get there, and the guy's in the basement installing the hot water tank. And I'm like, dude, how long this gonna take you? He said, I got about another 10, 15 minutes and I'll be done. And no sooner than he said that, I walked upstairs and was like, the appraiser, anybody in here? And I'm like, yeah, I was just coming in. So he went through and did the rest, and he said, look, the hot water tank was connected, but it didn't have the release valve and stuff hooked up. So he said, look, send a picture of that. Send me a picture with this the glass back in the window, and then we'll be fine. So once it was done, I sent him a picture, shot a little video to show him it was the actual house, and then we were good.
So hold on. So, that must have been an FHA appraisal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ours was conventional.
Right. But I mean,
yeah, I'm just saying, like,
still.
so he still killed it. So I understand certain things from an FHA standpoint.
But he killed that deal based on his mood.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the value of the house.
He just was pissy. He was upset.
Like, he took $10,000 off of our value for
$15,000. Took $15,000. We had an appraisal guarantee. We had a $5,000 appraisal.
Is that really why, or he?
No, that's why.
So the comps. So when y'all looked at the comps, was it other comps he could have used?
No, his comps suck. Yeah, his. So there was.
So how do you know that? Tell our viewers why you think that appraisal was bogus.
Well, so first reason why is because we did our numbers, and we do a really good job on our numbers. That's
right.
Number one. Number two, we had a backup offer who we paid for their appraisal.
Right.
So that we can make sure that we were ready to go just in case this deal fell through. So, and that appraisal came back at...
all right. So I need to clarify this because I don't want nobody thinking like y'all went and hired an appraiser that y'all know.
No.
So y'all had another buyer that was going through a lender, and that lender ordered an appraisal. So y'all didn't want them to waste their money. So y'all said, here, we'll pay for the appraisal. But the lender still went through pulling the appraiser from the pool.
Yeah.
And that appraiser came out with a whole different value than the first guy that had an attitude
more.
with y'all.
$16,000 more. So she's saying the 15, saying the 10 because we had a $5,000 appraisal guarantee.
No, I was talking about one of the things he dropped our value for.
What was that?
Right.
So it was on a main road.
Main road, right.
But what is it, 35-mile-per-hour road? I don't know what the road.
Yeah, but y'all
but typically, so there is typically I had it happen on my, so because I live on the main road currently, so each time I've done this like a few times on that road, so there is a drop in value, but not $10,000-$15,000. It'd be like $3,000 to $5,000.
So let's clarify that too for our listeners. So a main road, let's say a main road like a Beach Daily, right, or something like that, or Inkster Road, or
Greenfield,
Shaner, or
Southfield.
Hoover, where there's traffic, but it's not necessarily like heavy traffic.
Yeah.
So it's not like there are homes on 8 Mile, there are homes on 7 Mile, where it's consistent traffic all day. That's a different type of main road, right? So you're saying he treated maybe like because some neighborhoods you have a residential main road, but it's a residential neighborhood. But then you have some neighborhoods where there's a couple houses and then there's commercial buildings, and they're really on the main road, right? Like a 14 Mile or a Maple or something like that. So
he treated Greenfield. So this house was on Greenfield in between 8 and 9 Mile.
Evergreen
in between 8 and 9 Mile. And he treated it like it
was on Greenfield.
No, Northwestern Highway. It's like
like it was on Telegraph.
It was on Evergreen or Greenfield.
Evergreen.
Which one was it?
Evergreen.
Yeah.
You said Greenfield.
Yeah.
You know you fucked
Evergreen.
up, right? You know you fucked up.
Right. It is Evergreen.
Right.
Yeah, it was Evergreen. But he treated that house
No, I'm gonna watch the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
No, yeah. No, he really did. I mean, we could have fought it, but we were just there was a time crunch. Remember we talked about this.
I don't know why this Shaka want to fight everything, but this I was sitting up here like, you know what?
But y'all still came out all right with that appraisal. Nothing. It just was lower than what the expectation was.
No, we lost $10,000. So we gave away $10,000.
So let's. You talked about fighting the appraisal. So when we get deals as a seller, if your property appraised for less, there's a process you can go through to
not fight it, but challenge.
Like blue water or something. What they call it?
Yeah, rebut the appraisal, rebuttal, right? But it's a process. So you have to submit comps. You have to submit some type of explanation or reasoning behind it. And to be honest, sometimes appraisers do leave out comps that they could have used. Or there's a deal. So like me, if I see properties that are pending, I'll call the agent and say, when are you expecting this to close? Or can you tell me, like, say if all the comps, my property sold, it's under contract for $250, and we're maybe only got 2 comps and everything else is below $250. But then I see a pending sale that was $250 or $255. I'll call the agent and say, hey, what price are you at and when are you expected to close? Because if they're closed, then that's my third comp.
Yep. And sometimes you can tell that it's probably already. So I just had that literally. And I called the agent. It happened to be somebody I knew. And I think they went pending in like 3 months ago or something like that. You know what I mean? It was like enough time to know like this deal probably should have been closed.
Right.
And so I called him and asked him what was going on. He said, oh, that closed weeks ago. I'll go ahead and update that for you right now.
Don't you hate that?
Appreciate you.
So another reason. So here's things I want to tell all realtors, right? One, don't be an asshole to appraisers. Because sometimes you'll get an appraiser, they'll call you and be like, hey, you sold a property on such and such 6 months ago. Can you tell me was it move-in ready? Did it need any major repairs? Because they're not getting all the details from the MLS. And I'll hear agents like, oh yeah, I hate talking to those appraisers, or I'll get back to you and never call that appraiser back, right? Now the appraiser doesn't have enough information to do comps. And then you only upset when it doesn't, it doesn't benefit you. So work with the appraiser. And the same with other agents. Call agents and say, hey, you don't have to tell me if you're under contract at this price, but did you get at or above? And when do you expect to close? Because that's going to help you when you're pricing your property, or if you're under contract, what you can probably expect from the appraiser.
Relationships, right? Yeah. And that's why Billy be posting it every day. He said the same shit every day. Be kind. Like, just be respectful.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just normal. It's crazy. You got to tell people that. But, yeah. But no, this appraiser was just an asshole. And the reason that, so it was $10,000, but the reason that I didn't have the time and the mental capacity.
Right.
We got a lot of stuff going on. We're doing a lot of stuff, right? Right. And so I do understand it was $10,000. It does annoy me, but we moved on. You know what I mean? Now
but y'all didn't necessarily lose $10,000 because y'all never had the $10,000.
We had the $10,000.
Y'all still made a profit on the property, right?
Yeah.
So you just made $10,000 less than what you would have made.
Right.
Right. All right.
Look here. Let me tell you something. When Jonnita, and we're gonna talk in third person, goes out and finds a house for Shaka and I to buy, it's to get that number and not anything less than that number. We can go above the number, but by the time I'm a little annoyed with that one.
I get it.
But I mean, because some stuff is kind of like, it's just the principle. You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of times in this industry, whether it's the appraiser or some of the sellers or some of the agents, like whoever it is, sometimes I'm sitting up and I'm like, they know that like it's like people behind these transactions, people behind this paperwork.
Right. But is that the appraiser's job to consider the people or the data?
It's the appraiser's job to consider the data, but when you are being an asshole, now you have to consider where's your humanity at.
So who's the asshole? The person that didn't take the photo for him that he asked for?
Nah,
Yeah, because that's his job. At the end of the day, I can't be mad if I call you and ask you if you got time to go do something for me. Just because you know how to draft, I need a purchase agreement drafted right now. We about to get off here, and just because I know you know how to draft the purchase agreement doesn't mean that you have to go and do it. It's not your job to do that for me. It's my job.
Nah, and
But
then,
no, what I'm saying is, so if you know you have an appraisal, there are certain conditions that the appraiser is expecting all utilities to be on, everything functioning, everything like that. So was it the appraiser's fault he couldn't get the light on in the basement because he was too lazy to look for a light switch? Or did you say, if I was the common person coming down here and I couldn't find a light switch, should I put a sticky note over here and say light here?
No, right? but it was, so I never even had an issue with the light. So this appraiser.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is this appraiser, I'm not biased in this. That's why I moved past it. It just was the way it was supposed to happen that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of those people. Right. All right, it happened for a reason. All right, we got 10,000 less on that one. But we'll make it up somewhere. That's what we're doing.
So are you seeing more? I had an appraisal come in $3,000 less. And the seller is an investor. And he's like, oh, he could have came in at price. I'm like, no, he couldn't. I already told you we was already price. We was really $5,000 more than what I suggested we listed for. But the comps the appraiser had when they did their adjustments, and I was like, you kind of lucky.
You did a good job for
that,
you.
Right? Mm-hmm. But it was still $3,000 less. Are you seeing more appraisals come in now in this market?
Yes. So
less than.
Look, so that we had another one, and the one in the other one in Detroit, came in
less than list price or less than purchase price.
Purchase price.
But more than list price.
At list price.
Okay, because some of the offers are above list price.
Yes. So
if the seller getting end result, if the seller getting their list price, they should still be happy.
But let me tell you, so this seller, he gonna watch this too. So this seller was arguing with me about what to list this at, right? He was arguing the hell out of me about it. Like, I think we did listed at this amount, and I'm like, man, I didn't want to go at the number that we actually got their appraisal at because I have a strategy, right? My strategy being that I do not list too high. I list at a price where I feel like it's going to garner a lot of competition. That's my strategy, right? I want them to. It's been that before the new overbid and stuff is happening, right?
Right.
But so it came in. I mean, we got an offer at $195. We got an offer at $10,000. At $10,000 above the asking price. And but it didn't have any appraisal guarantees.
Right.
So he like, that's the one we taking. We had a couple offers. We had a couple offers, a couple of them at asking price, and then we had one that was $10,000 above asking price. However, this one above asking price has no appraisal guarantee, nothing else other than they just offer more money.
Right.
A chance.
And that's what he wanted to go with, right? So that's the one we dealing with right now. And this has been a headache the entire time.
Right.
And it came in appraised at the listing price, which is $10,000 less than the offer price.
Right.
Than what we had under contract.
So here's what I tell sellers, right? Some deals got Gorilla Glue. Some deals got dollar store glue on them, right? Mm-hmm. So you gonna throw these against the wall, but I'm telling you, this one got Gorilla Glue. Mm-hmm. So when you look at these deals, just because it's the highest don't mean it's the best offer. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of other factors other than just the price. What are you netting? Who's the lender? How solid is the buyer? Like, all of that stuff play a part. Inspection period. Are they waiving inspections? Are they giving an appraisal guarantee? Because at the end of the day, you have to plan for everything to go wrong. I'm thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead.
Chess. You playing chess, not chess?
Yeah, so over the last week, I've had 3 questions on appraisals. The one that came in low was rightfully so. I went back and I looked, and he was right on the money. He actually fought for the transaction. I think that particular appraiser did in that situation. I think, but the seller, it was for sale by owner. Sale by owner had another appraisal, and I think the seller's appraiser that they paid to come out, I think they fought for them too, but for a different reason. You know,
Right.
They was
trying
getting
to
paid for it.
Yeah, they were getting paid for it,
worked
but
for
they
them.
weren't held to any standards. So this person that's coming in where they're being ordered through the appraisal management company, they got federal guidelines and
Right.
things like that they have to abide within. And so when I looked at it, I literally showed the seller like data for over the last 365 days within a mile radius of this property that had he moved forward with the buyer, he would have been the highest sale
Right.
in that area. But he didn't want to budge because that was a stubborn
So that died?
individual.
He didn't do it?
Yeah. So, no, he did not do it. And so, but it's fine because this is the same client. Like, they're going to end up still finding like they're putting in offers right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
In the same area for the price point that it should be in. You know what I mean? And so, my question, and so like in that situation, it was fine. But then I got a call from a lender the next day, basically for a different house. Like, you know, should we halt this appraisal because the appraisal management company is worried that basically they see houses at this price point, which is like $20,000 less than what you have it written for.
Right.
And so when I went through and I looked at the numbers and I'm looking at the comps, I'm like, okay, well, this appraisal management company or this appraisal company, they must be blind. Because there are like 3 comps within a quarter of a mile that fit the description, plus the pending that the friend updated. You know what I mean? So, will we? And so
Now, was it the appraiser or because you know once the appraiser turns it in, it got to go through appraisal review.
they
with
have
the
not.
lender.
They had not went out and done the appraisal yet. They were basically saying like, you know, talk to your client and figure out if they want to still move forward because there's a chance that this house won't appraise.
Appraise, right? And now what you pointed out, that is a good lender because buyers don't realize every time you're paying for a different appraisal, you gotta pay, right?
Yeah.
So if the lender gets your PA and they get it in their system and they say, wait a minute, based on the loans we've done in the area, based on what Fannie Mae records are showing, based on the comps we see, the value is probably going to come in low. Some lenders can be proactive and give that data, or at least say, look, we're going to be kind of rough on this. We might not want to order
that the lender
appraisal.
or the
They got a
appraiser?
call from the appraisal company.
Yeah. So the appraiser. So that was a
Before
good
going
appraiser.
out.
So you'll
the-
have some lenders to do that too.
So
They'll
the
say, I
Friday-
talked-
Basically, was
Yeah.
like, nah, look, before y'all pay me this $600, you
was
sure you want to
already-
go through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this number. I'm looking at
Right.
the purchase
Right.
agreement.
Yeah.
Right?
So
But
the buyer decided to roll the dice on that one or whatever and, you know, present those comps and hopefully
Right.
it works out for the best.
Okay.
I got a question for y'all. So I know we're not appraisers, but all right, we're listing the house. We're listing, let's say we're listing a split level
Right.
in the area. We're listing a split level in the area where there are no other split levels within a mile of the house or within 180 days that
Right.
have been sold.
Right. But it's other comps.
But there's other homes sold. There's
Okay.
there's
All right.
there's ranches and
Square footage,
colonials.
age, style.
Yep. Square footage, age, style.
So that's where y'all got. Hold on. So hold
Not the
on.
style. You gotta take that one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't
Yeah.
do the style because it's a
Well,
split
I'm
level.
going by square
footage,
footage, age, and
age.
condition.
Yeah.
So I thought that as well. And we've been trying to get this.
I'll go
appraisal.
outside a mile. I'll look at 1 or 2 comps outside of that mile to see if there's any split levels, and then I'll factor in what's sold in the area based on square footage, age, and condition. And I may have to pull one of those from outside of a mile to get a similar property. So the area is going to give me the basis point for what are buyers willing to pay to live in this area for this size home. Then outside of that, I'm trying to find a similar neighborhood outside of a mile with split levels to see, okay, how much of a variance or difference was it? So like if all the colonials sold at 300, but the split levels, none sold above 270, that's telling me the market has a different value on split levels.
From colonial.
So then I'm gonna come back and try to make adjustments for that in this area.
What if you don't have that? So what if you don't have that within a 2-mile radius,
Right.
in 180 days?
Go back further in time. Go out a year.
I'm gonna go back. I'm trying to see what is the price difference between split level and the other styles.
Some in the area close enough, is what you're saying.
And then I'm gonna come back and then I'm gonna do, or similar areas, right? So I'm gonna come back and then I'm gonna do my comps based on what's there, and then I'll try to adjust for the split level.
So you're gonna make your adjustments based on the adjustments that you feel like they made in a comparable neighborhood.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So something I learned is that, now one thing I learned is that, that square footage that they used to include in the split level.
Yeah.
The lower level?
Well, a lot of people don't include, especially if it's not livable finished
So you
space.
just-
It's in the split level. It's in the split level. So
Right.
in the tri level. So that's livable. That's livable
Right.
space. It used to be,
Right.
but you can't include that anymore
Because it's sub level.
Because it's
the basement.
So
Technically.
now are you going to
Yeah.
compare it to ranches?
So that's what what I was told by the appraiser is now you can go. He said he go 550 days out.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up too.
Goodness.
Here's
That's a
the
lot.
here's the thing most people don't realize about it being low inventory. So you have when people say like sales are down, that don't mean values are down. That just means if it was only 8 homes on the market all year in the neighborhood compared to last year when it was 20, sales are down.
Yeah,
because
It was only 8
down.
sales, right?
Yeah.
But as an appraiser, when I come in, if I only got 8 sales to choose from, and 2 of them was within 60 days, but the other 4 was 6 months, 7 months, a year ago, then I only have so many comps in this area, so I have to go back a year, or I have to go to a neighboring community that's similar, right? Or I have to go out further than a mile. So not having enough inventory, that's another reason to go back further in time or further
But
out.
look, I'll be honest, to your point, I didn't know that you could not include the finished bathroom in the basement. I mean, I had no idea.
When you look at, so I start saving appraisals if I get them, and I look at the adjustments they make for bedroom, bathroom count. Sometimes I look at the square footage, but mainly I'm looking at bedroom, bathroom count, and then they got other adjustments that they use. And then you'll notice like a trend. So like in this area, cause it makes common sense, right? So on a $100,000 home versus a $300,000 home, if the bedroom adjustment on a $300,000 home is say $15,000, right? But on a $100,000 home, probably wouldn't make sense to make that adjustment for $15,000. Now you're telling me just because it's a 4-bedroom versus a 3-bedroom, it's worth $15,000 more, right? That may make sense in certain neighborhoods, but not all neighborhoods. Because what about your $60,000 neighborhoods? Is a buyer gonna pay $15,000 more just for that extra bedroom?
That's a toughie, and that's why I think that's
So
a toughie.
the appraiser may adjust it at that, but will the market demand that?
I think so,
and that's why I
think
tell buyers and sellers, you have your appraised value and you have your market value, because if most of the demand in the area, most of the homes in the area is built were 3 bedrooms, and you got a few 4 bedrooms. Like, I just want to stay in the area. 3 bedrooms is fine. I have no need for the 4th bedroom. Why would I pay $15,000 more?
But the person
if
that needs
90% of the buyers are saying that, do you really have a $15,000
I think so.
value?
What
You
if
think so?
you need it for? So I was just talking to Jonnita about, like, it's certain things that if I was buying a house, if I was looking to buy a house, there's certain things I need. And I was looking in all the $2 million homes, right?
Right.
They don't even have what I need, in my house. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I might as well build a house as opposed to going out here and buy. But if they did have it, if one of the areas did have it, I would definitely pay. I pay $50,000 more for it.
Right, but this is what I'm saying. That works both ways too. So let's say the 4-bedroom home and the appraiser's just using their regular adjustments of $15,000. And you as a buyer, you understand that, okay, this house, I'm talking to a FSBO, right? I'm willing to pay them $15,000 more because it has a 4-bedroom. And then multiple offers, somebody comes and pay $50,000 more, right? In your mind, you fixated on, it's only $15,000 more. The market value says it's $50,000 more. You see what I'm saying?
I feel like they gotta have, and that's what we was talking about. I feel like they gotta go back to some guidelines there because I think it should be a combination of set amount for the bedroom plus the square footage increase.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like I don't
you got to
know.
factor
Finished
in
square footage. Like what happened to finished square footage?
They don't, so they don't like the square footage no more. So, I won't say the appraiser's name, but he was pretty much like, scratch that. Don't even look at that no more.
We gonna have an appraiser guest come on and kind of.
I don't know if they be willing to, because the one we trying to get, that's why he ain't been on
That's
here.
why you need another appraiser to come on.
Right.
We want the facts.
Because you know what? I think they're gonna be scared because they can't give us no facts because that's the problem with appraisals and why everybody is beefing with appraisers.
Yeah, it's still
their
an opinion of value. Yep.
So that's the issue.
And you can.
I got a question.
Yep.
I want to know what meeting do all of the appraisers get invited into when it's getting ready to be a shift? So they can all get on one accord.
No, they don't.
They don't have one.
I think appraisers do their best job they can based on the data that they have. And I've had two appraisals on one home, and they were $30,000 apart.
Oh yeah, I've had 3. That's been within the last year. I had 3 on one house, and so I do tell people that, like, clients, customers, buyers, sellers, like, you know what, you get 3 different people in here, and they're all gonna be different because it's based on their opinion. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when all these changes or things are happening and they start to look a little wacky, I do be wondering, like, okay, what conference just happened?
Yeah,
it's just their opinion. That's the issue. So I just feel like it used to be a lot more like, what do you call that when it's all the same? You know,
I feel like I do away with
uniform.
Uniform, yeah. It used to be a lot more. I don't feel like it is anymore.
Yeah, they still have the guidelines for FHA, and they still have guidelines they have to follow, but it's still they have so much room for their opinion and what adjustments they use and what wording they use. That's important too because, like you said, if there's discoloration on the wall, somebody might say it's mold-like discoloration.
Then that's what he said.
That changes everything.
That's what he put on there.
Right? When the underwriter sees that, now we need a mold remediation company to come out. Or the life expectancy of the roof is 3 to 5 years, or it looks like it's at the end of its life expectancy and things of that. So sometimes it's not even the value, it's the wording they use that can cause a red flag in the appraisal. But you should have took that picture. You should have took one of your bright lights from your construction jobs and came and shined it down there.
No,
and took a little shady photo. On your...
No. So what he wanted, basically what he wanted me to do, I couldn't do it. He wanted us to go fix the issue.
You couldn't do it for $10,000?
Not when he needed it. So I had to have it painted. Oh. And then I needed to send the plumber out to check on. So I sent my guy out the next day to check on. Actually, that day, that evening, he went out there to check that to make sure that there wasn't a leak on the hot water heater.
Right.
So boom, there was no leak. And then that was on a Friday. I think we was coming here.
Right.
So then on Monday, I sent somebody I was sending somebody to go clean it, and then we got the appraisal back, and I'm like, shit. I told him, take everything back.
No, you know what? So something like that. So the situation he was creating could have actually created something bad, because back in the day when we was talking about catfish photos, so this was when people can hire their own appraisers, right? Somebody That
was the life.
They would take photos of a house that wasn't even a house and send it to the lender, right? So in that scenario, you explain, if this was 15 years ago, somebody would have been like, hey, I need you to come over and spray paint this wall white, you know what I'm saying, with some kills, and go over there and wet vac or whatever and dry this area up and take a photo. And you mean to tell me the appraiser would have accepted that?
Yes.
Right? With no to identify if it was mold or not. And that creates that scenario, right? Because the buyer don't win in that case. But the appraiser kind of like forced your hand, and that could have been done, and you'd be like, oh, what the hell?
But here go the issue.
Right.
Even if those two things were there, that is not $10,000. And if you want to, you give me what it should appraise that and say with repairs.
Right.
You need to go check and make sure that there's no mold and that this hot water heater is not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's wrong. Like at the end of the day, no, we can't. There's no slack that I can.
I just looked at some numbers on one of your listings that I had to tell my agent. I'm like, oh, I said, no, he got this price accordingly. This is right on the money.
Which one was it?
I said, I see
The
what
one
he
we've
got
been
this.
talking about.
He said,
Which one? My listing?
he got it listed right here, and this one sold right here. And he just got, when I'm like, your buyer, y'all need to close this deal and keep it moving.
The one
But
that you did the bid on? Yeah.
I was just looking at the numbers because I had,
And the appraisal. Guess what though? Remember that it was I was talking on a couple episodes ago about an agent who didn't tell me we was talking about the bottom line. Mm-hmm. He also had an offer on that house, and out of nowhere just sent me an email and was like, "Oh, the appraisal came back," and he told me the appraisal was like $30,000 less than what we was under contract. So I said, "Send me a copy." So I can send to the seller, because who knows, the seller might be like, yeah, right? But never sent me a copy. And I'm like, man, this might kill my chances of getting another deal. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, no, the only thing that could make an appraisal go bad on that house for that low was because maybe the underwriter didn't like the fact it had the dog security system.
I pointed that out to her.
But I was like, that might come up. I explained it to the seller. So when we got the new deal, and I'm like, when they ordered the appraisal, and I was like, I said, oh man, let me go back and make sure the other deal wasn't FHA. Because that other appraisal would have stuck. Mm-hmm. Man, I called the lender, they was like, we ain't even order an appraisal.
Right.
And I was like, man, this ain't agent red flag list. No.
Right. Put them on a
red flag list.
Anyways, that's a wrap, guys. We out of here.